Alright guys, hey, so this is my tabletop review and unboxing of this. I bet you can't guess what it is. If you read the title, I'm sure you're going to. So, what I'm going to use right here my SE4, because I guess this knife is a bit of a direct competitor. And because it's a direct competitor, I think it might be a good thing to have. That's why we're going to have this out here. Plus, what knife better to open this box up with? Let's see, a little bit of tape. That should be it. Come on. I was hoping to save the box. No more box saving. Alrighty. And here it is. The MORA Garberg. Cool. Alright, so I'm going to try and make this one quick. Oh, look at that. Cool. It's got Trial by Fire 1 in there, if you guys can't see that. I'm not sure how this is going to come out. So initial impressions on the sheath. It's pretty nice. It's definitely up there with some of the nicer leather sheaths that I've had. Snap is pretty good. Leather's pretty stiff. Welting looks substantial enough. And it definitely goes back down deep enough. Right in here to protect the stitching. It's a standard style stitch, so that's nice. You have the belt loop is riveted on. Alright, there's a bit of friction holding our knife in place on top of then the flap. So you've got two modes of retention, just like their normal multi-mount sheath. So that's pretty nice. Alright, and here she is. She, I guess. He... the MORA Garberg. So, to heft them in hand, let's see which two of these knives weighs more. I'm sure you guys, if you really wanted to, could tell me. Man, they're pretty similar. I'm going to say the SE probably has it for an ounce or two, but not a whole heck of a lot. The spine is pretty substantial. I'd say this definitely doesn't have any flex to it except right where I'm pressing my thumb, so that's definitely a nice stiff knife. In my hand, it feels pretty good. I've got a hand that's my glove size is medium to large, depending upon who's cutting it. So yeah, this one's pretty good. We can see a final little bevel on the end of this one right here to give it a little bit of more structure. This is what a lot of people have other said, that this has a micro bevel. I wouldn't call it that, mostly because I can see it. I don't count micro bevels edges that I can see. That's besides the point. Let's see how it cuts. Oh man, I'm going to cut some 550 cord. This is going to be tough. Cuts it well. Double it up. It's rope cutting. That's no chore. Let's do something a little more difficult for this guy. Let's cut some stuff up, some vegetables. This is, after all, being marketed as a survival knife, so I'm gonna have to cut some food sometime. Although this isn't a great test for it, considering I just got this and just walked in the door, and it's 11 o'clock. I'm not going to be running outside and chopping stuff up. So let's see how well it cuts up this garden tomato. I've had worse, I'll tell you that. It's definitely a nice smooth edge. It doesn't cut through the skin right off the bat. at least with the factory sharpening. But once it does cut through, it cuts through pretty darn well. We'll compare this directly to our SE4, a direct competitor in just about everything. Alright, you can see with my edge at least, it's a little more aggressive and it starts this cut faster. I have to say I probably sharpened this a little better than the factory edge. Pretty good. Oh. Alright, let's see how it does with carrots. This apple's getting in the way. Alright, so it definitely is splitting the thing out, which is unsurprising considering the thickness. We'll compare this again. Again, I find my edge to cut through these vegetables a little better. That's besides the point, though. Let's try an apple. Well, it definitely starts that cut real nice. You know, it isn't super duper wedgy. I was expecting it to be more so, but yep, yeah, I see you broke the apple up there. Let me tell you, I think it's gonna cut better than my Essie. I might be lying. Alright, so I don't think any of this proves anything to you guys. We expect a Scandi knife, such as this one, to not be the best at food processing, but it definitely isn't awful. And not nearly so bad as I was expecting it to be. Alright, so down to the few minute points of the knife. Handle is comfortable. It definitely is just solid, hard plastic. It's pretty well profiled all the way around. We've got both swelling here and here. I've heard some people complain about it not being a little thick. If you have really small hands, most people don't have hands much smaller than mine. At least if you're an adult, I've found. This shouldn't be a problem, but even still, if you can only get a grip halfway around, I don't think this would be a problem. It's definitely a big hand-filling grip, and I've got a fair amount of room if I choke up all the way. Let's see. I can do this here. That's pretty nice. Oh, we can strike this on a fire steel. Let's see if I can't do that. I'll use the one that's in my pocket. Not bad. Edge is definitely nice and sharp. Strikes it very well off of my SE Fire Kit. Their first one. Okay. So, one thing right here is we can see right here that this edge isn't sharpened all the way. And this is something that kind of irks me all the time, especially with these Scandi knives, is that they don't have a ricasso or a choil of any type that can allows me to sharpen this all the way back to the edge. So I'm going to lose just by merit of them not sharpening this all the way back to the edge and keeping the profile of this all the way to the back of this. I'm just not going to be able to sharpen all of that, and it'll progressively get further and further away from the blade. Comparisons. So actually, it's pretty nice. I was a little trepidatious of this knife. I wasn't expecting it to be quite what I have in my hand here. It's definitely far more confidence-inspiring than I was expecting. It's not a light knife by any stretch of the imagination, but it also doesn't feel like a wimpy knife. Sitting next to my SE4 over here, there are a few things I think that my SE4 will be able to do that this one won't. I think spread peanut butter better will probably be it because it's got a much broader blade. I've handled the Benchmade bushcraft before, and I can tell you that I like this one way better, even though the Benchmade definitely was a like higher quality type knife. They had just an absolutely ridiculous, at least the one I was handling, secondary bevel on what was supposed to be a Scandi knife. The blade was also much wider than I thought it needed to be, and thicker than this. And this knife is already pretty darn thick for a knife such as this. Price comparison wise, you know, if you're going to be talking in relations to that knife in specific, this one actually takes the takes it on that, being it's only about 80 to 90 bucks. Being a higher end steel, from what I've heard and read and seen, this is kind of close to VG10. I have a knife in VG10. That's not bad. In my opinion, I'm going to have to say, overall, I like the knife. I like it much more than I was expecting to. Stay tuned. I'm going to be doing some wood cutting later, maybe some carving and whittling with a knife of this size. I'll show it next to my hand, so at least in relations to me. This isn't going to be the best whittler, but it's certainly not going to be a bad one. Not in any stretch of the imagination. Not like some of these incredibly fat knives that we've seen out there. Alright. Cool. So that is it. Yeah, and the leather is definitely pretty darn nice. There's no liner on the inside, if we can't see that. So this is just straight up leather. It's not coming out. I've handled MORAs in the past. I've had a was it MORA 2000, a MORA 2000, and some of their newer companion before. So I'm gonna have to say this one definitely feels like it's about on par with the fit and finish of those. And for as cheap as people say that they are, I don't find that they actually ever have fit and finish issues like that. We can see right here there's one nipple where they didn't completely remove the flashing. There's a little bit of flashing on here, but all of the important parts of their knives are always nice. You know, the finishing on the steel is always nice looking. The edges always look good. You know, they put the money where it needs to go. I could almost care less, especially if it's going to save me like 20 bucks, that they completely remove the flashing on this. Even though this is about as clean as I think you'd ever get with a mold with plastic. So, nice. Yeah? We'll shave hair. We'll see. Shaves hair okay. Not really setting the world on fire. That's factory sharp. Alrighty. Stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching.